Welcome back to Artists Exposed with Tym Moss and my guest, Jason Dottley. Yay! I love him.
And I love him.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yay!
You know, most of us like talking about ourselves, so these are never that uncomfortable.
Well, we just listened to Love Story, which I love that song. Extra, extra. And you had the project that you did for this, which I thought was such a beautiful idea. It was a project of love about different people from around the country, and wasn't it how they met and fell in love? And
It was a combination. I launched a website called the Love Story Project, and what happened is as the fight for gay marriage progressed, and all of a sudden the gay struggle, in my opinion, became mostly about this right to marry, which essentially boils down to who you're allowed socially to love. And I thought, well, obviously some people are scared of this, so let me show them what gay love and gay marriage looks like.
that's beautiful.
So I put the feelers out, and I began to interview via Skype gay couples from all around the world, all ages, gay, straight, whatever. And those interviews were available on YouTube and on the website. And then for a lot of people, of course, don't want to be interviewed, so I also asked for submissions of pictures, either from your wedding day or just the two of you together. And so my idea was I'd written this song for an album I did not release, and I was just listening to it one day, and I was like, wait a minute, this has a whole other purpose. So I wanted to shoot a music video that was a combination of interview snippets and then a just showing of all of these images. And I really thought it was a very important piece.
I agree.
Unfortunately, we don't represent the rest of gay media, and that wasn't the response I got from my PR team wasn't the response my PR team was getting from most of at least the larger gay media.
I just don't understand that.
Well, let me explain to you what they told me. Maybe this will help us understand better.
Exactly.
Well, first of all, they said that...
You were going straight again or something?
No, not this time. This time I just wasn't sexy. Literally, they said the video is not sexy because apparently everything we do has to be sexy.
Yeah.
And the reason it wasn't sexy, that was a very conscious decision, was because this was supposed to be a tool for anyone who was questioning their sexuality to see what their future looked like, the parents. And the minute you start making it about sex, you alienate young people. You know, parents don't want to share it with their parents.
And it's not like the LGBT community doesn't have enough of that already. It's covered in sexual images.
It is, and I have provided some of that. I'm happy to be sexual when it's appropriate for me as an artist and when it's appropriate for the project, because sometimes it's not what you need to be. That was one issue. That was the lesser of the two issues. The other thing I heard more consistently was that it was an issue that was no longer relevant, that was passé.
Oh.
And I'm sorry, but I was quite sure the Trevor Project still got a gazillion calls a year, and that people were still killing themselves because of their sexuality and still getting beaten up. And I realized that most of these editors live in New York or LA. And I thought to myself, well, maybe for your life, living in the Village in New York City, this thing is not as relevant. Although when I was living in New York the last time, a couple of gay men were shot in the Village by somebody for being gay. So I said, but you get outside of these two massive cities and you get into the rest of the country and the rest of the world, this is very much still an issue. To the point where in some parts of the world we're getting hung and executed. When I was in Fiji, I learned this really crazy thing about Fijian culture, and I can't think of the proper word, but I'll explain it. If a family has all boys, the mother will pick one of the boys to live as a girl.
Oh, wow.
They wear makeup, they wear feminine clothing, and they do all the women's housework with their mom, the cooking, the cleaning. And typically these people are the more softer feminine boy. And like the one I met at the resort I was staying at was gay. I mean, he told us this in the privacy of knowing that we were a gay couple, but they're legally not allowed to be gay. It's against the law in Fiji.
Wow.
Now, we didn't know that when our trip was booked, but the resorts, they don't care. You're paying money, you can do whatever. But within the law, it's against the law, and also within their culture and their faith, they're killed for being gay.
My goodness.
So the family says, no, you're going to be the girl, and no, you can't be with a woman, and no, you can't be with a man. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and there is a term for this whole situation that I've forgotten, but
that's interesting cultural. I don't know what the word would be, but yeah, that's interesting in their culture.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But it is a very legitimate part of that culture.
Wow.
So, from Fiji to the Middle East to Tennessee to Texas to the Village, this is still a huge issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't willing to sell sex to sell the point because it was more important to me that the point was delivered properly than delivered so some editor at Out Magazine would say, oh, that's hot. It wasn't about being hot.
Exactly. No, I love the approach that you took. That was getting past all the superficial, sexualized stuff and getting down to the raw basics of love, which doesn't really have a face. But that's
right.
Real love is something that is not normally promoted in our community, unfortunately, in LGBT community. It's more sex and shirtless people and guys in their underwear and all of that.
Yeah, everything's an Andrew Christian video.
Yes, right.
Yeah, it is, and that's fine. I love Andrew Christian,
too,
and
yeah.
I love sexuality, and I think we should all be willing to explore our own sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, sex doesn't make a relationship, and
right.
sex doesn't keep a relationship together. It's love, and if you don't have love for your partner and love for your neighbor and love for people that don't think like you do, then you are putting yourself in a position where you're building walls around you, and you've created a prison for yourself of basically misery, because without love there's only darkness, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So you got to shine some light on that darkness so people can understand, because light is also understanding in my the way I think about life. So I was just trying to enlighten people and say, hey, embrace love. And I was going through a time in my life where I wasn't feeling love because I was fresh off my divorce. I was fresh off of having my heart broken that fast already by somebody else. Yet I knew that my only way to survive that was to focus on love. So I did. So it worked for me. It helped me.
Wonderful.
I'm just sad that the media didn't see the importance of it, didn't embrace it. And I also feel like this. For the people that write just blogs, or for the magazines that have separate blog content than have print content, I think to myself, it's just a blog entry. Like, what does it hurt you to post something about somebody you already write about with concerning an important issue? I'm not trying to sell something that's superfluous. I'm trying to expose something that's serious.
Well, I'm with you, brother or sister, whichever you want to say.
I guess if you're in Fiji, it really is either one.
Yeah, exactly. It is brother and sister, a little of both. But I recommend you just keep following your heart, and you keep doing it, and the media will come around eventually. Yeah. But just do what you know is right, and what you did with that, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so beautiful, such beautiful images of real love, and that's what this world and our community really need more of, in my opinion, is what you were doing. So if that you're moved to do that, do it. Just keep doing it.
Well, thank you. And I also had to remind myself, too, that when your next project comes out and you get a lot of attention for that project, then people start looking you up that don't know you, or people start saying, let me go back and see what I've missed. And then they are, again, reintroduced to this project. So gay media, I'm going to make it relevant, no matter how hard you try to make it not relevant.
And again, it may take a little while to catch on, but I think it will catch on because it was a beautiful project, and it came from your heart.
Well, in the gay media that did embrace it, and I must say this since I've trashed so much of the gay media, embraced it with both arms open. I did get tons of magazine covers because of it. Now, interestingly enough, in order to get these magazine covers, I had to do shirtless promo pictures.
Yeah, right.
But that was different because that wasn't limiting the project. That was selling the project to a demographic.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, just briefly, let's change the subject, because we've talked about the darker side and the media and manipulation and lies and cheating and let's get into some fun, warm, joyful, loving stuff. Now, entertainment. You love to entertain. What do you love about entertainment? What do you like singing? Do you like to get up in front of the crowd with the spotlight on you and sing and hear a room full of people chanting and clapping? Or what I was going to say what gets you hard, but that isn't that. Forget that.
I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy all of those aspects of being an entertainer. I mean, attention's always nice. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, there's nothing else I know to do in terms of there's nothing else I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I remember being a young boy in Mississippi, hating my life, very unhappy. And my only escape was through the television. It was, by watching the Roseanne show, by watching Madonna. Mm-hmm. So through entertainment, I found my escape. Mm-hmm. And so for me, what I find important and why I'm driven to do this, beyond the fact it's my passion to be expressive, is that I like looking out and seeing people who've obviously forgotten about everything outside of the venue that's happening in their life. They're dancing or they're smiling or they're laughing, because we all need that. I mean, I go out, I have certain things I do that I do for the sake of just not dwelling upon the things that stress me out,
Yeah, escape. To escape from life. So you're a good reason for people to escape from life.
Yes, I hope so. And that is my goal. It's the reason I do everything. Even if I do something that's a little bit off kilter, something that's outside of the box. Mm-hmm. I know that even if people don't love it, within their discussion and their debate, they've left behind for a moment everything else. So I don't even need you to like what I do, because I know it doesn't matter. As long as I take you to someplace else, I'm good. Yeah. And of course, there is nothing quite as satisfying for me as knowing that what I do is what I've always dreamt of doing. Following my bliss.
Right.
It's...
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, is the bliss. Where does the bliss? Because I've talked to like we're in the theater district right now, right across from where the Ambassador Theater, where Chicago is playing, and on Broadway, and I have talked to some who just they love the electricity of being on a Broadway stage. There are others that just love being in the studio and recording a song, or the process of writing a song, or being on a film set, or in a television studio. And well, again, I know what you mean, because I enjoy all of those things too.
Yeah, I was going to say I love all of those things. I love every step of the process, and I think it all boils down to this one statement. I hear so many people say, "Oh, if I won the lottery, I'd quit my job and go on vacation and blah blah blah." And I think to myself, if I won the lottery, I would have so much more work I could do.
Same here. That's what I always say.
Right? You'd have your own studio doing this like Oprah.
If I won, this would just be a side gig. Right. I would be across the street starring in Chicago.
That's exactly right. And I think when you do what you love, you don't see money as a way out. You see money as a way of expanding. So for me, it's the whole picture, and I get messages, and I'm not exaggerating, I would say at least a message a day, and when things are going on more than that, from people telling me, I could pull them up on my phone either through Twitter, private messages, or any route they can get to me, where one guy wrote me he has AIDS, he had a stroke, he had 3 heart attacks, and from the hospital he wrote me to say how much he needed Jason Dottley in his life and how much I helped him.
God, that's beautiful.
It's so when you get a message like that, and they always tend to come at the moment in the day when I'm like, forget about it. Forget about it. I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm never doing this again. And I go, wow. Well, I have to do it now for all these people.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's so rewarding.
It is. That's so beautiful.
And I know what
just
it's like.
touching someone's life.
And I know what it's like being touched like that. And I think to myself, how am I? What am I? I'm doing that.
That's the purpose. Yeah, that's your purpose.
And so I'm still digesting what that means. That's very. Yeah. It's much deeper than so and so thinks I'm great. It's so much.
Yeah.
So much deeper. Yeah.
That is beautiful. Well, we're going to take a turn here. We're going to take a break, and we're going to listen to his new rendition or his new interpretation of "Crazy for You," Madonna's, and then we're going to come back and talk about it with my guest, Jason Dottley, right here on Artists Exposed. Yay!